by herself tonight.
Yeah, I am. Her Betty's not gonna be here either.
She's babysitting.
Yeah, 67. Oh, well.
And
My life.
Okay, welcome everybody to tonight's Tuesday, June 16th, 2026 council meeting. I'd like to read that, I'm going to ask for a roll call first, please.
Member Atlas,
Aye, over here.
Councilmember Mitchell,
Here.
Vice Mayor Rose,
Here.
and Mayor Maida.
Here.
Councilmember Levine is out tonight. She's sick.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and take public comment on anything on the closed session agenda. So I'll go ahead and read the closed session item. It is conference with legal counsel, existing litigation, City of Ione versus Allison of Plain individually, and DBA J. Bolden West LLC, Camden County Superior Court case, number 25CV 14742. So do we have any public comment? Okay, we don't have any public comment, so we'll go ahead and convene to closed session.
Yeah.
Okay. Guess we're ready to start, folks.
Yeah.
We want to reconvene to open session. Welcome again. We see we had several more people show up today, so that's great. Would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, report out of closed session. The closed session item was City of Ione versus Allison Lefane individually and doing business as J. Bolden West LLC, Amador County Superior Court. And Josh was giving us an update tonight, so direction was given. Anything you'd like to say, Josh?
Just general case updates.
Okay, thank you, sir. We do have a moment here. I will open up for public comment again on this public comment on the closed session item. If anybody would like to speak on it, so now we have more people here. Okay, we'll go ahead and close public comment. I'd like to ask if there's a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll approve the agenda. Second.
Yeah, first and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Oppose? Okay, we're honored tonight with swearing a new officer, Officer Dominic Washington. He's going to be given the oath of office to Police Officer Dominic Washington. Welcome, sir. Very happy to have you here. Janice?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and City Council. So I'd like to introduce Officer Dominic Washington. Unfortunately, Officer Andrade decided he wanted to go back to the family business. We are lucky that Officer Andrade is staying with us as a reserve officer, but he left his full-time status. So luckily, Officer Washington was already in backgrounds with us, looking at a reserve position, and it just kind of worked out perfectly where we were able to, bring him in as soon as Officer Andrade went to non-paid status. So a little bit about Officer Washington. He's from Lodi. He graduated the Delta Police Academy in December of 24 with Officer Ward. So they actually went to the same academy. He started with the Stockton Police Department, and then we were able to snatch him away and bring him to Ione. And some of his hobbies are video games, hiking, working out, and home projects. And tonight he is joined here by his mother, his father, and his niece. So we'll let Janice come up to administer the oath.
Raise your right hand. And just repeat after me. I state your name,
I, Dominic Washington,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully
and that I will well and faithfully
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
upon which I'm about to.
upon which I am about to enter.
So I'd like to have Dominic's father come up and pin his badge on.
Take my glasses off so I can see. That's all.
Don't stick them, Dad.
I got it.
Son, there it comes. I got it. I'm clutch, you know?
Congratulations, Officer Washington, and we are congratulate ourselves for getting a fine man here. Okay, so we're going from that, we're going to move to public comment. This is the time for members of the public who wish to be heard on matters that do not appear on the agenda. Persons may address the city council at this time on any subject within the jurisdiction of the city Ione City Council. Please be mindful of the 4-minute time limit per person. Pursuant to the Brown Act, the city council may not take action or engage in a detailed discussion on an item that does not appear on the agenda. However, matters that require council action will be referred to staff for a report and or recommendation for possible action at a future council meeting. Now, is there anyone in the audience who wishes to address the council at this time?
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. Just a couple of updates from the county. Dan Epperson, your humble supervisor here. So one of the things we're working on is working on with our planning commission is developing agritourism. And basically what we're doing is we're crafting some rules and regulations to kind of free up people to be able to do more agribusiness on their smaller pieces of property, anything from an acre on up. And then we're also peeling off a little piece of that for wedding venues so that we can, that's going to involve a little more traffic, obviously. So we're kind of looking at that kind of carefully. Also, we made some adjustments to the TMD. There's basically it's a tourism marketing district for our hoteliers and whatnot. They pay a little bit of an extra. They charge a little extra fee. It goes into basically promoting the county, and that's one of the little things we're working on. We did pass our budget last meeting today. The fire protection district met and passed the budget there too. Also, more importantly, the IBCA is hosting the car show this weekend on Saturday. So downtown will be all kinds of nice little cars. We invite you to come down and join the fun and grab something to eat and hope you have a good time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dan.
Good evening. Rose Oneto. I live here on Main Street in Ione. I have a little concern about, well, or big concern about these new skateboards that are out that are electric. You can't hear them and they go very fast. My daughter and my husband and I came out of the hotel for dinner the other night, and these 3 skateboards came by us so fast, and there was another 2 people that were trying to get up on the sidewalk. They went by them so fast, and you can't hear them, and they almost hit us. And there was 4 kids, but there was only 3 skateboards. There was 2 on one skateboard, and I was able to get a picture, and I'd like to, it took me a little bit to get it out of my purse and get it, but I got it. And it worries me. We used to have signs on our sidewalk saying no skateboards, no bicycles. We don't have those anymore. And I think it'd be easier if we had them on there. The officers could give them citations because they've been warned. Also, on the hill, they do the soapbox derby. Those kids come down the hill on those things so fast, and the row of Seiko's right there. And if they come out of that road and they don't see those kids, they're going to smack somebody. And they're just dangerous. And I don't know if we can go to the schools and tell them, you shouldn't be doing this, teach them something. But I think that should be a concern right there about those skateboards. It's happened to me more than once, but this time it was really not good at all. And I was able to have my phone at the time to take a picture. But anyway, I'd like to give this to someone. Okay.
Rose, thank you. Thank you very much. I'd like to ask our city attorney to comment on this, please, because we have been concerned about it also.
Yes, we are actively working on an ordinance. I've been working with the police department, so we do expect to have an ordinance for the council's review, hopefully at the next meeting. So we are working on that and hope to have it before the council soon.
Thank you.
That would be another tool for the police department for enforcement.
Rose, I'll make sure I contact you, let you know what the status is, okay? You bet.
Good evening, everyone. First, I want to say how excited I am for all of the wonderful events and things that are going on in Ione. I know Mr. Lee and all of the city staff have done a tremendous amount of work to increase the amount of events we have, which will generate a lot of revenue for the city, which is very important for all of us. So my name is Patricia Angija. I live on Castle Oaks Drive. It can be very anxiety inducing to speak publicly, but I always appreciate being able to hear from my neighbors. A lot of us take a lot of time to be well informed and be involved in our city to help make it better and better each and every day. I believe this community involvement, partnered with our city staff and city council, can work together to improve our lives immeasurably. All of the improvements and investment in our local parks and rec and revenue generating activities has been nothing short of amazing, and I am truly grateful to all of you who have helped that happen. I've heard so many wonderful questions come from very passionate, concerned, and invested community members and even city council members that never get answered. Questions asked publicly should be answered publicly, as not just the person asking the question would like to hear the answer. I know the Brown Act can limit this during public comment, but all of you, including the city manager, has the ability to discuss this during an agendized event or an agendized item or during council member or city staff reports at the end of each meeting. These opportunities can be utilized to ensure the taxpayers of Ione get their questions answered, to provide full transparency and encourage a partnership with community members to best serve the city of Ione. It will also go a long way to end any speculation that I see run rampant on social media, especially. I appreciate all that you do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, do we have anyone who'd like to address the council? It's your time. Okay, it looks like we'll go ahead and close public comment. Next up, we have information items. On the information items today we have 4, Building Department monthly report for May of 2026. Number 2 is a Fire Department monthly report for May of 2026. The Police Department monthly report, also May 2026, and the Wastewater Treatment Plant monthly report. All matters listed under this category are for information only, with no action to be taken by the City Council. The consent calendar. All matters listed under this category are considered to be routine and will be enacted by one motion. Any item may be removed for discussion and possible action and made part of the regular agenda at the request of a council member or members. We have approval of the minutes. We have warrants.
Making a motion, we approve consent calendar.
Second. Hang on a second. He's reading something and you interrupt him. Can you let him finish?
I just want to go over the items that are under the consent calendar, the warrants as of June 16th, 2026. And then we have adoption of a resolution extending the fiscal year, 2025 fiscal year budget, and adoption of a resolution number 2026-22 concurring in the call for an election on the question reestablishing countywide abandoned vehicle abatement fee. So do we have a motion on the consent calendar?
I got a question for the attorney. Don't know if I need to pull it or not.
Sure, go ahead.
On tax items, do you need a supermajority or is anything in here requiring a supermajority? That's my one question. The other question is, I have a comment on item number 3. Do I need to pull it to make the comment?
If you want
I'll
to make your
pull.
comment, or if you want to have a separate motion, then pull it. But if you want to just make your comment.
Yeah,
you can make-
so typically we do an extension of the budget when somebody leaves, when the finance manager leaves or we have a new one or a new city manager. That's been going on for probably the last 4 years. This time, there is no change in the city manager, there's no change in the finance manager. Why do we need to do a budget extension? What's the holdup? Why wasn't it already done?
I think it might be a question better for Andrea and myself, if you don't mind.
So technically, you need to do the budget extension when you start incurring things for July. Last year, we brought it to you guys in July, and there was concern that we didn't do it soon enough, so we're bringing it to you now. So from the 1st to when the budget gets approved, you have a budget, and because you won't have one by July 1st.
So it's to cover the bills coming in July. Is that what it's about?
Technically, yes. The ones we pay in July are actually for June, but this is in case there's anything that's incurred from July 1st until the budget is approved.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else, Tom?
As for the election resolution, how I read this resolution is it's just concurring in the city's support for the election, and it would be a county tax. So the county's board is the ultimate authority who's submitting the tax to the voters, and this is just the city supporting the election.
Thanks.
I'd like to ask Chief Alfred if he'd like to respond to this also.
Chief side of this, yeah.
So what this is for abandoned vehicle abatement. And we did this a couple years ago and they're asking us to do it again, just saying that we're on board along with the county. All the cities have got to do a resolution on it. So it can go to the county board to be put on the election. And then it'll be on the election for the voters to decide whether they want the $1 fee or not. And what that does is it actually helps not only the county, but the city with abandoned vehicle abatement, because that program, what it does is if we have an abandoned vehicle in our city, we contact the county, and because we're all a part of this, the county will come in and take care of the abandoned vehicle for us, which is a considerable cost.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it, Chief. I could have read the staff report, but thank you. Got it from the horse's mouth over here. Okay, so do we have any more questions? Okay, do we have a motion?
I make a motion, we approve the consent calendar.
Second.
We have first and second to approve the consent calendar. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose?
No.
Okay, ayes have it. So no public hearing tonight. So we'll move on down to the regular agenda. Item number 1 is discussion approval of the special tax rate for 2026, 2027 police, fire, and landscape maintenance portion of the Community Facilities District. Mr. Lee, would you like to comment on this?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, just to give you a brief background, the CFDs were established with the development agreements for Castle Oaks and Wildflower. The intent of the special tax was to provide financial support for the police and fire department as the increase in population
Can you speak closer to the microphone, George?
would create a burden to the general fund. Landscape maintenance for Castle Oaks is also provided for in CFD number 2005-2, CFD number 2009-3, and CFD number 2005-2. The agreements specified that the special tax rate would increase as determined by the Consumer Price Index and approved by the City Council. The rates were frozen in fiscal year 2020 to 2021, and which resulted in a revenue loss to the city of $103,723.56 from fiscal year 2021 through 22, through 24 and 25. During that period, the Consumer Price Index factor has increased over 4%, and the police and fire budgets have continued to rise. Therefore, it is our recommended options to number A and B, A being increased amounts as determined by the December 2023 CPI of 4%, levy with a 4% increase, which equals to 735,356.06, an increase of 117,000. Or B, increase all CFDs excluding 2005-2, 1A, number 3, which would continue to be frozen at the 2021 rate, levy 673, increase 55,152. Our recommendation, although we give you two options, our recommendation is to increase it with number A. Again, all of our costs have continued to rise over the past several years, and they continue to rise. And so it is our staff's opinion that we must keep up with, at a minimum, of the CPI rate. Unless we do that, we fall further and further behind the ACART. So that is our recommendation. We give you two options, A and B, but staff's recommendation is to approve number A.
Okay, council comments. Councilmember Allen?
Yeah, I continue to say it's not fair that only a few people are charged these fees. We should have done an area-wide CFD for the entire city. It's not fair that only a few people pay this, so I'm against it.
Councilmember Mitchell?
I'm one of the few people that gets to pay these lovely increased amounts, and it was reviewed with me when we bought our house in Castle Oaks that
these would be coming. I do agree with Dominic. It would be great if we had a way to have everyone chip in. But I also believe sitting back and doing nothing year after year with previous boards or previous councils has put us behind. And certainly the CPI and costs everywhere are going up. But I'm anxious to hear what the public has to say.
Vice Mayor Rhodes.
I have nothing. We'll listen to the public.
I'm going to hold my comments. I'll go ahead and open this up to public comment, please. Okay, I see we don't have public comment. I too do not like to raise fees. But I see we went quite a while there without doing them. Actually, we went about 4 years without raising them. And so once again, the can was kicked down the road a little while. And I understand there probably were reasons to do that at the time. But I believe we're going to have to follow suit on this. And so I recommend that we would do a.
I'd just like to say, I live in what we would call Old Town, which we don't have sidewalks, lighting, or landscaping. One of the reasons when they built the subdivisions is they had all these special entities, and that was one way to why some of us don't pay for it and some do. That's why it was originally set up. It wasn't to pick on anyone. And I think everyone was fully aware when they bought their property, the real estate agents would let them know that this is part of living here. So,
Councilman Allen, would you like to add anything more?
Yeah. Why is a new house in Castle Oaks and Wildflower have to pay, but a new house on Manor doesn't have to pay? The reason it was kicked down the road for 4 or 5 years was because the city was working on addressing it. And at the end of the day, they didn't take any action. So that's not the homeowner's fault. But as I say, if every new house from 2005 had to pay this fee, I wouldn't be complaining about it. But there's only certain houses have to pay it. The guy across the street doesn't have to pay it. So it just doesn't make any sense. We spent many years working on it. We were pretty much stalled by the city managers, not George. But nobody in administration wants to give up tax revenues, right? They just want your money. They want your taxes. They'll do anything they can to get it. We have a solution. Go look at doing an area-wide charge, which would even be better for the police and fire departments than what they're currently getting. And people just wouldn't move forward with it. So it's, like I say, I know I'm going to get outvoted. That's fine, but it's not fair. And the council did everything they could to address this. But it was city managers that killed it, not George.
I'll add that I agree with Dominic on that part. It is ridiculous that some parts of Castle Oaks, literally, if I live across the street from Josh, we have 2 different payments, and that is wrong. And I don't know why it was set up that way. I have no clue. Maybe if that's something in the future that we can look back in again, because I don't think George would crush this. He might try and figure out how to fix it. And now that we have Andrea back in the house, because I think she was back in the day when they started this, maybe you have some knowledge of why it was set up that way, if you want to speak on it. Not to throw you under the bus, but I knew you were.
So there's several reasons. There's, I think, 4 different CFDs. And each one came at a different time. So hindsight's 2020. So originally these CFDs were not only for lighting and landscape, but for the additional police and fire that was going to be required by the new homes. If we didn't have new homes, we would stay where we were. So initially they did when the first 211 homes only have $50 that they pay for lighting and landscape. And it was determined after those in 2000 or whatever, it was like, well, we have all this extra stuff to take care of, so we need to put on a CFD. So they do it with the developer when they're the one owner. one of the things that Dominic has mentioned is staff did look at doing a citywide. The problem you have is getting enough votes for someone in the old part of town to say, yes, I'm going to put a tax on my property when you're almost 50-50 right now. So you'd have to get all of your people who are paying it and a whole bunch that don't pay it to say yes. And it's not free to do it. You'd have to do the nexus study to come up with the rate, which is paying $50,000 to $60,000 plus probably 8 to 10 to get it on the ballot. So it's not free to try to do it. So I think it was determined by the previous city manager that unless there's a way, like if Village 10 was in, you could probably, if you're looking at getting everybody to pay the same rate, once Village 10 is in, which is another 54 homes, that'll be started in the next 2 years, then you would have an opportunity to get all of Castle Oaks at least paying the same. You could spread it out. You would probably have enough people paying the higher rate because the lower people aren't going to say yes to raising theirs. So you just have to look at the dynamics to see how you can get something passed and make it worth the money that you're going to spend, because you're going to have to do a study and get it on the ballot. Does that help?
Thank you.
Ms. Lee?
The other thing that I would like to remind the audience and the council members is that these fees are designed to cover our costs only, nothing else. As a city, we are prohibited from making a profit. So all this does is cover our costs only. That's it. So the further you, like you said, Mr. Mayor, kick the can down the road, the further we fall behind. So again, I would like to remind everyone that all this does is cover our costs. That's it.
Well, it's a win-win for some homeowners, and it's definitely not as good for the others. And I don't know how this can be rectified at this point, particularly when it comes down to a vote or whatever. But Councilman Mitchell, any comments? No comments? Okay. I'd like to entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Have we taken public comment?
Oh,
Yes.
We did.
you did public comment. I didn't have anybody.
I'll make a motion, community facility district rates, increase the amount as determined by the December 2023 CPI 4%.
All right, first, we have a second.
Second.
First and second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose?
No.
Ayes have it. I didn't say aye, but I'm for it. Okay, let's move down to item number 2. Adoption of Resolution 2026-20, approving and implementing the annual increase of the adopted sewer rate schedule. Mr. Lee?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and council members. To give you a little background information, Wildan was engaged to conduct a sewer rate study in September of 2023 to study the sewer rates and the current state of the City of Ione's wastewater system condition and capital needs to address deferred repairs and improvements. The sewer rates had not been increased since 2004, and the city's wastewater facilities are in need of deferred repairs and improvements to address the rising costs of operation and maintenance. On April 15th, 2025, Wildan presented the rate study and new proposed rates to the council. In accordance with Proposition 218, notices were mailed to sewer customers and property owners on May 1st, 2025. On June 17th, 2025, council approved Resolution 2025-18, approving and implementing a new sewer rate and schedule. The approved study includes a rate schedule through 2030 with their yearly increases. These rates are based solely on the cost of the repairs and improvements needed at the plant. Per the approved rate schedule, the 2026 sewer rate was to be $69.98 per month. At the June 17th, 2025 meeting, the City Council voted to raise the sewer rate to only $60 a month, 9.98 a month less than the rate schedule. This equates to an approximate loss of $20,958 a month, or a total of $251,000 per year for fiscal year 2026, based on the 2,100 sewer accounts that we have. Per the approved rate schedule, the 2026-27 rate is $80.47. As you can see in the attachments, Ione continues to be one of the lowest ratepayers in Amador County. Soda Creek right now pays $145 a month. Amador City pays $112 a month. And Jackson pays $87 up to $200 depending on the water usage. Plymouth pays, I believe, $85 a month. So again, it is our recommendation that the city council, raise the fees accordingly. And again, I remind all the council members that and the audience that this only covers our cost, nothing more, nothing less. And so unfortunately, the reason why we are in this position is because since 2004, the city did not raise the rates one time in almost 17 years. And so again, as a result of that, we are in the situation today. So if you kick the can down the road again, we fall further and further behind what the recommended rates are, just to cover again our costs only. So that is our recommendation.
Thank you, sir. Councilmember Atlan, council comments?
Yes, first of all, the city caused its rates to go up, not the ratepayers, through some poor decisions they made. I won't go into it. There's no raise for the second year for commercial, which could have offset some of the raises for the residents. And I don't know why commercial gets a free pass and the residents don't. I'm okay with going up $10. I did that last year. Didn't do the full amount. All that does is it puts a 5-year plan into a 6-year plan. At the end of 6 years, we'll be where staff wants us to be in 5 years, and it just makes it a lot easier for people. Last year it was $250 on every home. This year it's going to be $250. When you add in the garbage, when you add in the water rates, I mean, the water rates right now are $200 a month, for a regular size house. So it's just becoming unaffordable. I mean, not that we're talking about water, but our water rates are higher than El Dorado Hills. The sewer rates are higher. We have to do what we can to keep the rates low as we can by making good decisions. But I agree, there was a long time when I wanted the rates to go up, as long as I've been on the council, so it would lessen the sticker shock. But again, nobody ever put it forward. So I'm okay if we can work on that $20, get it down to 10. I'm good with that, but I'm not good for 20.
Thank you, sir. Councilmember Mitchell.
I see us as a failure on previous councils, putting us we keep kicking it down the curb. We're just getting further and further behind. I do agree with Dominic on the commercial, and I would love to see that come up next to focus on and raise their rates as soon as possible.
Vice Mayor Rhodes?
I have nothing.
I'll give my comments. Well, I will say this. I want two comments is I do find fault with 30 managers and the turnover in staff, how this went so long. 17 years without addressing this issue is a long time. Let's figure numbers here real quick. If we had $240,000 less than we got this year, as opposed to if we would have went ahead and did the higher rate that we were proposing for the first year, that's $240,000 we would have in our coffers. And so we're not really solving any problems here. The wastewater does not make a profit. It's not for profit. So it has nothing to do with it. I think the city managers misled and did not give proper advice and counsel, or however you want to explain it, put it to the councils also. But in the meantime, it did get thrown way down the road, and we're trying to fix that now as a council. So from there, we'll go ahead and take public comment.
Well, one reason you got money, for umpteen years, we used to get, in 2011, we were getting $110,000 a year from the golf course. They get free water now. They took $1.2 million of us other people's money and helped water the golf course when we went and hooked up the tertiary plant. That's never been addressed. He got a free ride when he was manager, and he made sure he stayed that way. with PERC being there.
This isn't about the tertiary water. So once again, you're completely incorrect, Larry.
No,
Please try and
Let's
at least be
let's-
honest.
Let's take control here, guys, please.
When you're speaking.
Oh, you're gonna say they never had to pay $110,000, they paid $11,000 a month.
We're not gonna have a debate here.
We're talking
Councilman
about
Allen, you-
sewer rates,
you're not-
secondary sewer
I'll
rates,
give you a
not
chance to talk. Please, you can address everything you says at some point.
This
Go ahead.
guy's out of line. That's a fact. You can look it up. I got the contracts. They paid they're supposed to pay $11,000 a month. They paid $10,000 in 2010. And they quit paying. I can show you the contracts. And then he gets 2 million gallons worth of free water. You try and get 2 million gallons of free water. And that was totally illegal to go through the tertiary plant. I know this is off that subject, I'm sorry, but he's arguing with me. The thing about the raise, I know it's gonna have to come. And we got a cease and desist order. They never addressed the 16 million gallon holder bottle we gotta pay for. That's still in there. And we got 900, say 1,000 homes gonna be coming in. Where's the money gonna come from them to fix our sewer plant? I ain't heard nothing about that. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Aguilera?
I agree with Dominic. You should only raise it $10. Because there's a lot of fixed income people in Ione. And you're just gonna take money away from another $10. You know, a lot of you guys probably may have good money and don't bother you, but there's a lot of fixed income. And another thing is, well, we got screwed on this plant down there and I see it's gonna come again. I hate to say it, we got developers coming and they don't pay nothing. They get away with everything. And everybody here knows that and nobody addresses it. I mean, you got all these, she said, what, 50 homes or something? Now they should have to pay to fix that plant down there because you know we're at capacity down there and everybody's afraid to admit it. Because last winter, we had one little storm and they were running around down there like the chickens with their head cut off trying to do something about the water coming in. They did that twice. And we haven't had a hard winter for years. When we get a good hard winter, we're going to be up shit creek. That place isn't going to handle it. It's just going to be running over everywhere. And everybody knows it. So, I mean, this bullshit, you know, all the time we're going to raise. Well, I'm with Dominic. $10 is plenty. And another thing, the golf course don't pay nothing anymore. And Dominic says the treasury plant, but I'll bet you 10-1 we're taking our sewer money to run that plant and taking some of it over to run the treasury plant when we don't get nothing. I mean, this stuff's got to stop. I mean, you guys everybody give the golf course away. We don't get no money. We don't get no rent. And I don't get nothing out of it. Nobody else does. I don't even know if they pay anything anymore. Years ago, we were supposed to get $1 a cart. That all went away. But I'm with you, Dominic. $10 is plenty right now. Because everything is going up and everybody knows the water is going to go up again. Because the waterworks got a grant and they got to pay that back. So you know who's going to pay it? Everybody that's hooked up to it. So thank you. I'm all with Dominic.
Okay, any more public comment?
Yeah, I could explain part of the reason why we kept rates low in the former councils wasn't because we were needing more money. It was because we had a very tightened budget. We also, we're adding about between 100 and 200 houses a year. And so we were watching, we built, the sewer plant was built for a certain capacity. And as we got nearer to that complete capacity, those new houses were basically covering all the extra expenses. So every year, 3 to 5% increase, we had the houses and the new ratepayers were covering all that. We watched that go right along with each other. I mean, I won't go on the whole tertiary thing, but I always divide the two things, our sewer plant and the tertiary plant. How do we fund this one with our other partners, I guess we'll call them, and then also the ratepayer. I mean, I work really hard to keep our sewer rates down, and I think I did a pretty good job of that. I'm happy to pay $40 a year. I think the $10 is fine to raise it. We've obviously kind of reached the zenith at that. The plant is reaching capacity. And the other big part of that too was at that time, AWA when they put their water savings project together, which I was at mayor and cut the ribbon for it just randomly. It was kind of funny, an odd day. I'm like, I didn't do nothing for this, but anyway, short story there was that they were really pushing capacity. And when they did that water reduction program, it actually freed up a whole ton of capacity to sell more connections. And so with that, we were able to very carefully monitor new houses coming in, which kept pace with the rates. We also put in a portion of the bill was being set aside for future building and repairs. So it was not just a random thing, a fluke how that happened. It was actually engineered, was on purpose, and with some shrewd direction from some decent city managers that we had over the years, we actually were able to accomplish that goal. And I was very proud of the fact that when I came in and they left, we were still paying bills and we were funding the thing fully and putting money away for the days we need to fix stuff. So I just thought I'd explain that. Thank you.
Okay, more public comment?
Good evening, Patricia Angiga, Castle Oaks Drive. I just want to say that it's a really tough position for you guys to be receiving this, I guess, end of the stick, where now you're making the decisions to address this when it hasn't been addressed. So I want to give you guys all kudos for taking this on. It's not an easy position. I know the school district right now just increased their after school program and summer program rates, and it's an exorbitant rate increase like how this is, but it's because it went years and years and years without being increased. We have to make up, the funding. I'm not happy about it either. Things are getting more expensive across the board. But I don't want the sewer backing up into my neighbor's yard either. That's been a problem for years. Every winter I keep hearing about it, seeing news articles about it, and I just feel for them. Definitely don't want it happening to me. And so it's unfortunate. You can easily just ignore this issue and go about being the council that, is revered and loved because you didn't, shake any, boots or whatever the expression is. So I appreciate you taking on these really tough issues and addressing them when other councils have just kind of, gone about daily business and not, ruffling any feathers. So it's unfortunate. Everything's rising. But I mean, if we want to maintain and then even upgrade our systems, these are the prices that we do have to pay to live in, a more sustained and up-to-date community. So I appreciate you guys. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Any more public comment? Okay, we'll go ahead and close public comment. I would like to mention one thing. I would encourage those of you, just for information only and to get a feel for things, is to look at the rate study. Get a copy of it, look at the Nexus, the sewer rate study that was done. It'll explain a lot of things, and not only will explain a lot of things, but you'll see the history and how we got to where we are. Okay, Councilman Atlan, would you like to say something more?
There's no point, but thank you for the opportunity.
Councilman Mitchell,
Nothing.
Vice Mayor Rhodes.
I just say with the increase, if we approve it, we're still one of the cheapest in Amateur County. We'll be pretty much even with Plymouth, maybe a little more than Plymouth, but have Jackson still higher. Amateur City's way higher, and Sutter Creek's just way out of line. But anyhow,
My comments are, obviously our job is to keep our sewer rates as low as possible. That's my job. That's what I'm going to continue to try to do. And I know these individuals up here with me agree. And I have to address this situation about giving things away and how things have been in the past. Well, the past is the past. And this is a whole new start. And we got a new city manager, got a different council. Progress is being made. At least I feel like progress is being made. And my point being is, when it comes to developers and builders and stuff, it's a whole new ball game now, folks. It's not. We got to forget about what we gave away in the past. How many city managers and all these things? I blame them more than anything because there was no stability. So you need to wait a couple of years until 2 to 5 years to see how these things work out. Because I feel very confident that we're going to have a whole different outcome. And I see that particularly when I see Mr. Borge here. He's been a player in this area. He's been nothing but straightforward and been a partner. We've got a great working relationship with him. So I just had to make a comment on that because I'm tired of looking in the past. Okay, do we have any, make a
I'll,
motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the sewer rate increase to the recommended $80.47.
I'd like to, uh, go, go ahead, go ahead. I know what Andrew's gonna say. She beat me to the punch.
No.
We're already on a
What I'm going to
motion.
say is, from our point of view, $80 is better than 80.49. It's not that much money, and in accounting wise, it makes it so much simpler for the customers.
Oh, take off the cents. Okay.
Especially.
You wrecked my chance. I was gonna say that.
Can I retract my motion? Or rephrase it? Okay. I'll make a motion, I'll change my motion to approve the sewer rate increase to the recommended amount of $80.00 to make it even.
We have a first, do we have a second?
Second.
We have first and second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nope.
Okay, the ayes have it. So, once again, I do encourage you to look at the rate study. It'll answer a lot of questions. All right, next up, we have a workshop for 2026-2027 fiscal year budget. And it's Andrea's turn.
Good evening. This is the first, basically, we're following the same procedure we followed last year where I bring you revenues, talk about kind of an overview, and then we'll be coming back to you with expenses, taking information, incorporating it into the budget, and then bringing it back to you again for approval. So this is basically our first look, and I just wanted to go over an overview to discuss basically funds and departments. There's a few changes. So basically, as most of you know, some in the audience may not know, governments use fund accounting. So we have certain funds where are restricted and the money is separated, unlike your personal accounts where you could receive a revenue and expense out of the same account. These are always kept separate. Your revenue comes into one account and your expenses go in another account. That's why we have so many account numbers. So like the general fund, which is our 111 account, that's kind of our unrestricted funds that we can use to run the city. Then you have your gas tax, which is restricted. If you look at C on number 1, there's a 2121 SB1 gas tax. That's a new tax fund I would like to add. So last year, we had an audit done of the SB1 gas tax, which has historically just been in with all the other gas tax in the 211 account. And they were told that it needs to be separated. It needs to have its own fund, so it has its own fund balances and doesn't just get absorbed with the others. So that's the new account number I'd like to add this year. Our wastewater and our wastewater capital are still the same, and I just wanted to make a comment regarding the wastewater and the tertiary. Those two accounts, well, there's actually 3 different funds. One is for wastewater, one is for wastewater capital, and one is for tertiary. The wastewater money does not get used at the tertiary. Now, what does happen if the tertiary is over budget, the general fund has to basically cover that for them. It's not coming out of the wastewater account. We cannot use the wastewater account for the tertiary or anything else for that matter. So I just want to be very clear. The ratepayer money has to stay within the wastewater accounts.
I think that's not to interrupt you, but I think that's one of the problems in the past. It has been used, and I think that's why
And it's been
Andy always gets up and.
Yes,
So
and it's
thank you
been-
for fixing that.
Yeah, and it's been confusing. A lot of people don't understand tertiary and wastewater because here's what's when the bills come in, they say wastewater treatment. Well, they're both wastewater treatment. So you have to be very specific. Is this a pond you're talking about, or are you talking about the tertiary? And then also, we have the pool fund. A couple of years ago, you guys actually separated out the pool because it was just in general fund before. So you actually have 3 accounts: pool, the Ed Hughes Arena, which we actually added last year, and then, or the previous year, and then last year we added the Howard Park, because those 3 accounts were in general fund, so you could never get a really clear reporting on their own. So we pulled those 3 out. Even though they have their own fund, those are general fund accounts. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay. So even though they're in a different fund, it's still part of that general fund covers those accounts. The lighting and landscape at Castle Oaks, that's the account that was set up to cover that, has had a negative fund balance for years. Because in the beginning, those 211 homes are still only paying the $50. It's been negative for years. It's slowly catching up as the CFDs increase. And hopefully we'll break even here in a year or so. Measure M, which is the fire tax, which is a great help to our fire department. Love that. It's countywide tax and everybody gets a piece of it. We have the COPS, which comes through every year. And then last year, we also moved a lot of the account numbers to the restricted police and the restricted fire. So what was happening previous to last year, anytime like the police had a concealed weapons or fire had a burn permit, that just went into the general fund. So last year we came to council and asked, we would like to move all of the revenue that the police generate and all of the revenue that the fire generate, we'd like to put it in their restricted funds. So when they earn the money, it goes into their accounts. So you'll see there's more fund numbers in there actually this year. And then we have capital funds. And just so everybody understands this, because there's been several comments about this. So the capital funds are impact fees that are paid by the developers when they build a home. And in order to charge a developer an amount, you just can't make up an amount. You have to do very similar to what we did to the wastewater rates. You have to have a study completed that says, here's the impact that that development is going to have on the community. We can't charge them for our problems we already had because they're not creating those problems. So we're right in the middle of our impact fee study right now with DTA. It's been lingering for years. It starts and it stops and it starts and it stops, like from 2018, I think it's been starting and stopping. So we're just getting in our final reporting stages to where we can have that ready for this next development. So, but what happens when those capital funds come in, those are set aside for the impact fee that they paid. So the fire impact fees are restricted to fire and they're only for capital. So like the police impact fees are only for police and only capital. So when we talk about the budget where we've been talking about the police station and they're using their impact fees, that's what those fees are for, and they were paid by a developer. I didn't pay for those fees as a taxpayer. My property tax didn't pay for those fees. That's development fees that came in for them to address the needs that they have. So I wanted to be very clear with the impact fees. And now we have departments. So within your funds, your second number, or you have your first four digits, which are your fund number. Then you have a 2-digit number after that, and that's your department. And so we have city council, city clerk, city treasurer. We have admin. We added recreation last year. That was the first year we added recreation. We also have legal, police, fire, planning, building, engineering, public works, and citywide services. And I'm suggesting this year that we remove wastewater from public works and give it its own department. Currently, it's very convoluted. Wastewater has always been part of public works, so it makes the public works budget look humongous. And half of it, the majority of it, is actually wastewater. And those two basically are completely split now. They have been for a while. We have contractors who run the wastewater. Our public works does help on calls, but that can be addressed just by putting a percentage of their time towards the wastewater. But there's nothing that really crosses over a lot with those. So I'd like wastewater to have its own department. So it's very clear, this is the budget for wastewater. Now, wastewater would include tertiary and the plants, the ponds. And ideally, once those get connected, it becomes one system. So wastewater and tertiary, as soon as we get a permit, that interconnect project, they become one system at that point. We're not there yet. So I'm requesting to add, move wastewater to its own department and get it out of public works.
I think that's a good idea, not to interrupt again, but I think that was just historic back when we ran our own plant. We didn't have contractors, so Public Works actually operated the plants back in the day. So that's, as you know, that's why it was that way. So I think it's a great idea. Separate, should have been separated probably 10 years ago.
Yeah, great.
Thank you.
Is there anything else you guys have question on the funds or departments or other things you would like to see? So basically my two suggestions are adding a new department of wastewater and adding that new fund for the SB1 gas tax.
On the departments on the wastewater, can you separate tertiary and?
I can do very similar to what we did. If you look at wastewater, we have the wastewater and wastewater capital. What I can do is I can do within the same naming scheme, like I'll make, see how it's a 311 and then a 3121? And then we have tertiary. So we already have tertiary as its own fund. So it's already separated. This would just be the department.
Okay, okay.
Does that make sense? Tertiary is already separated
Got it.
from
Okay,
the wastewater. This is just the department.
okay,
Because when I give you the budget, remember, it's in departments.
okay.
Does
Got
that
it.
make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions?
Is this through the end of May, or is it, how current is it?
What I'm talking about, right now, I'm talking
Yeah,
about,
no.
I haven't gotten there yet. That one I'll do. Any questions on what I just went over is the overview of the funds and the departments? None? Okay. So this revenue, I just gave you an updated one. Here's my exciting news. Something we've been talking about since 2023 and we're finally getting there. So this is updated actually as of today because what I was able to do, so this is a sheet that was created prior years ago. I'm not sure if it was in 2022 or 2023, I think. And you had this actual and the remaining and the percentage used, and you would have to go you would have to pull a report from Cassell, the report I gave you guys at the last meeting, the one that's by account number that several of you mentioned is very hard to read because it lists all your general fund accounts, then it lists all your gas tax. So it's not broken down by department. So this year, what I was able to, in the actuals, used to have to hand code every single, and this is just revenue. You'd have to, for revenue and expenses, have to go in and type every single number. Well, Cassell offers a program called My Excel, which takes Cassell, you put a formula in there and it goes and grabs it from Cassell and automatically updates it. So I have a little date up here, and if I change this code, it'll actually update all my actuals in seconds, which is huge as far as having, it saves with typos, it saves with just the time sink that it was to get the budget in. So what I did today is I actually went in and just ran it through today to give you guys some updated numbers. So that's why you'll see, I highlighted the numbers that are different. You'll see some in the general fund, like the current supplemental tax, you'll actually see some numbers in budgeted. And mostly where it affected is the pool. We've been getting actually quite a bit of pool. So if you look at pool, which is 411, which is on page 3. So the pool gets split in half because our fiscal year ends in June and the pool is open through July. So the pool revenue gets split right in half. But this year it has a really good vibe, and actually the pool, never covers itself, but at least they've exceeded their revenue goals of last year by $3,600. And we still have 2 more weeks to go. We've had a lot of pool passes this year. I don't know what changed. Maybe it's just a awareness that there's a pool, but we've had.
Promised I wouldn't show up in a swimsuit.
That would, well, we appreciate it. If you can send something else out there so we get even more. Because and I try to stress anytime I talk to someone about the pool, it's very important for the pool to be utilized because it does cost money to the city. It does not pay for itself, as the parks don't pay for itself. None of the recreation stuff pays for itself currently. So it's very important for citizens to utilize that pool to keep it open because it's not on our land. We take care of it. It's on the school land. So that's one thing I always try to reiterate, how important it is if they want to use the pool. Make sure you go use it. Even if it's for night swim, I buy a season pass and go at night and swim. You also see the same thing kind of happened on Ed Hughes Memorial Arena. When you see a negative on these revenue accounts, that means they exceeded the budget. So it means they made more money than they anticipated. Does that make sense? When you see those negatives?
That's not necessarily true. That on revenues.
On revenues.
Yeah.
I'm talking about this sheet on
Sure.
revenues. When you see a negative on the expense, it means they both mean they exceeded their budget. This is just a good way. We want to see them exceed the budget on the revenues. We don't want to see exceeding on your expenses. So I just want to make sure everybody understands that the negative on this revenue report is a good thing. It means we exceeded what we were expecting. Makes sense? Okay.
Because Cassell would have figured out how to put a plus instead of negative.
Yeah, well, well, and then you might be a little, yeah. So once you start changing it. So do you guys have any question on the revenue or want anything adjusted on the revenue? I can give you some examples of, on the current revenue that we received. Like if you look at page 1, our first one is our current secured and unsecured tax that we receive twice a year, January and December. That's why I'm always telling everybody, don't spend any money July to December because I want to wait for that first check so we can make interest. The other one, if you'll see, if you look down to sales and use tax, that comes 2 months in the rears. So we'll still get some money in July and August for this fiscal year. So that's why you'll notice that the projected year end is higher than the actual because we know it's on a schedule. It's going to come 2 months behind. Also on the construction permits, you'll know a lot of the construction permits came in lower than we were expecting and the impact fees. And that's because when we did the budget last year, we knew that there was going to be, I believe, 15 homes built in Wildflower. What I didn't realize at the time, a lot of those impact fees had credits towards them or prepaid. So it wasn't a true 15 houses paying their impact fees. They had already prepaid some. So that's why you'll see some differences in the impact fees. Also, there's a funny, goofy little ones like this insurance reimbursement, that $4,000 you see in the general fund. That's with our NCCSIF gives us $4,000 for training, so we better use it or we lose it. So you'll see little things like that. Explain the gas tax to you. You'll notice on the sewer, that's at like 96 and 97%. That's because our last billing happens in June at the end of this month. So that'll be our final billing. The way they set up, I'm not sure why they did it. They have it at the end of the month instead of the first. So even though it'll show billing for July, it'll show in the June fiscal year, but you know, you're just 1 month off forward and backwards. We talked about the pool. The pool brought in more than it thought it would. Recreation was very close. A lot of that was the Sounds of Sinatra and the murder mystery. You'll notice we had a rather large budget for this summer youth program, which did not make that. And so this year it was not held. This is actually the revenue from last year's. The Ed Hughes Memorial, same thing. Most of that additional was the sponsorships, and they had an increase in day riders. Next year you won't get that $50,000 from ACRA, unfortunately. Howard Park is interesting. If you look at the rental revenue for Howard Park, basically soccer and baseball pay about $9,300. And the rest of that rental at $9,000 is what EB Hall is, because the majority of our EB Hall rentals are fee waivers. So there's not a lot of revenue coming in from Howard Park. It's nonprofits who get a fee waiver. So we don't get
we do have a new structured schedule though.
Yeah, which will help. Even with the fee waivers now, I think it's a 250 charge to cover our electric, water, and the bodies to show up and do the walkthroughs. So it's at least not costing us money to have an event there. So, and they've been paying it, and you know, they pay for everything else. So
that's one fund I'm looking forward to see how it looks next year.
yeah, that one will be an interesting one. And then you start getting into your lighting and landscape and your impact fees. And then your police and your restricted. So if you'll notice, for the police restricted and for the fire restricted, each one of them bring in about one 300,000 and one almost 400,000. And some of that is due to bringing those general fund accounts into the restricted. Because before, anything that you see for the police, other than their CFD and their public set, would have all gone to general fund. And then the problem with that is they made it, but then at the end of the year, it just gets wrapped into a fund balance. And then it's like, well, it's not your money anymore. So I think that's a really clean way. I know a lot of people like to keep more money in general fund and not restrict it, but I think when they're earning it, restricted is a good place to put it.
I'm a big believer in that.
Yeah. So any questions or changes you want to see on the revenue? A lot of these are just based on actuals and will be updated as we get the money.
Okay.
And you'll notice on like CDCR, for the revenue for the golf course, another point I can make. So SGM pays $75,000 a year for water to water the golf course. That is their payment they make to us. And you'll see it's like 71. It's a little short because they had a prorated of a couple weeks last year. But next year it'll be the even 75,000. And every 2 years, there's an escalator based on the engineering costs that'll go up. So it doesn't go up this year, but it'll go up next year. That's really important for any contract that you guys sign. Make sure there's an escalator so we can help keep up so we don't get behind. So if there's any changes you guys want to see this or any questions you have,
Councilmember Atlan, would you like to start off if you have anything?
No, just waiting for the expenses. Thank you, though.
Yeah, that's the fun part. Councilmember, Member Mitchell?
I know how hard you've worked on this, and I was fortunate enough to step in the office as you're ready to pull some of my hair out, but fortunately I don't have any. But seriously, the amount of work you put in on this and the staff and your folks, I appreciate all of you guys really putting forth and getting this nailed down
thank you.
and detailed out. Do not be putting big chunks in the general fund or I will come after you.
Vice Mayor Rhodes?
Good job.
Thanks.
My only comment I have is that it just seems like it's so much easier to read this time for me. I just think it's easier for me, makes sense, the way you're breaking things down. So yeah, great job.
What this does now, before that report that do you guys know the report I'm talking about, the expenses to revenue that I'd give you that nobody seems to really like? That was always the report that was given. So my suggestion is moving forward for quarterly, this would be the report you would get because it automatically is talking to Cassell.
Mhm.
So that was one of the concerns that council members made. They don't want to see something that staff made. They want to see the numbers from Cassell. So the good part about that is this does come from Cassell.
And you can like you did tonight. I mean, on a quarterly basis, it'd be right like that. It'd
Yeah.
be updated and
As long as it's in the system,
right.
I can give you a picture that day. And it'll be the same. So I haven't expenses. Now I've got to go do the same thing, which is a big project because if you guys remember the worksheets, it's a lot of worksheets and a lot of accounts.
So what's the time frame, just so the folks know, when do you think you will want us to set this for the book workshop for the
In
expenses?
July, I'll bring some expenses to you July 7th. I'm not sure if I'll have all the formulas in, but I'll at least bring something to you for July. And then we have the 21st and speaking to the city manager, we might do a special meeting if you want to get it approved in July. We can do a special meeting at the end of the July. Otherwise, it'll be the beginning of August.
Okay. It'd be nice if we could hit that month anyway. Yeah, it'd be great.
Yeah, because we haven't
That'd be an improvement, yeah.
5 years it's been like October, September for quite a few years.
Yeah, that would be great.
And then I have some I just want to give you an update, the audit update with Larry Bain. He was here before, told you 21, 22, 22, 23. You guys accepted the limited procedures audit. We started the 23, 24 on April 20th. He should be back either next week or the week after for his final pull for 23, 24. We're hoping to bring that by at the end of August, it might get pushed to September, depending on what we have on the agenda. So then we need to start 24, 25. We're getting so close to actually being not in the past. And then also this year, I also wanted to make sure to continue the decision from last year not to use ClearGov, which they had used previously to do the budget, which was between $11,000 and $15,000. And last year, staff just did the budget. So my suggestion is do that same thing and not we can make the charts and do that ourselves. So I wanted to continue with that decision. Also, we started the developer deposit reconciliation. If you guys notice on there, we had budgeted money for that and we have no actuals for that. That's because it's a big project, bigger than we thought. So we started with the most recent, which are Ringer Ranch and Waterman, to make sure their deposits and what they've given us, because we didn't want to hold up everything we have to go years back to reconcile it. So we started with those two. So I did put something in the budget because I'm pretty sure we're going to be close to getting reimbursement for those, at least on those two. And then if we get farther in the process and get all the rest of them figured out, that would be ideal. And then, so you guys had already talked about the budget direction regarding the sewer plant and the wastewater. And then the other thing that we're going to talk about, Dominic's favorite, is basically the interfund loans. So there's several items, and I brought this up to you guys before, that I'm going to meet with Larry Bain regarding. So one of them is we have that arena that owes the tertiary, but the arena is a general fund account, and the general fund covers the tertiary. So we're working with Larry to see, like, well, if it covers the tertiary, can't you consider that a payment instead of just a gift? Just consider it a payment and then pay the loan off. I'm working with, and then the other thing I'm going to look into, and I have part of it done, is the police and fire have had this amount that keeps getting ping ponged back and forth between them. They owe 600,000, they don't. And if you look at our books, one year it goes in, and the next year they put it in the police fund, and then the next year they take it out of the police fund. So I'd like to get that clear once and for all. So I'll do some research and bring something back to you guys to where you know exactly what's owed, if it's owed, and who owes it.
I sent you all that stuff 2 years ago, so.
Yeah, that's part of it.
If you want it again, I'll send it to you again.
That would be great. I think I still have yours. And I believe Kenny's also sending me information, and I looked up information clear back from when they sold the property out at Castle Oaks. So we're going to tackle that all as one thing and hopefully get it clear, and we can move forward and we don't keep bouncing it back every couple of years. And I think that's it.
Thank you, Andrea. Do we have any public comment?
I just want to say thank you to Andrea, and all the city staff, because this is no small feat to not only have to reconcile the current information and, keep current, then having to go back and things like that. That's just, no, it's I would not want to imagine having to undertake that. So extreme applause to you guys for doing that. As you were talking about the pool, it made me start to think how that's going to look with the potential consolidation. So I know the pool is on the junior high campus. I don't know if the junior high kids utilize the pool during the year, so I don't know if the school district pays for any of it or if it's strictly the city that pays for it. And then, so I'm not sure exactly how it's done now. And then I'm interested in knowing how that's going to be done in the future, because I don't know that having a pool on an elementary school campus would be such a good safety, thing. Of course, they might lock it. I think it's fully fenced. I haven't been there in a while. But that might be an interesting thing to talk with the district about, how that's going to look moving forward. Just made me think about that. Thank you.
So currently, well, for years now, the school was going to close the pool. And so the city, clear back when I was on council, I think in 2004, decided they didn't want the pool to close. That was before we have so many pools in town. Now there's quite a few pools. So the district doesn't pay for anything. The city covers it completely. It's about $100,000 every year that we put into it. And it is fully fenced. And as far as consolidation, that would be something for council and city manager to figure out moving forward with the district. They do use it at the end of the year. That's the only time they use it. And they basically contact us and rent it through us.
Well, when it
They
comes,
do own the land.
well, the council has made this council has made obviously a large statement about how we oppose consolidation. So let's let everybody know out there to try to keep strong on this, because we need to take care of ourselves.
I'd just like to ask a couple of questions. She said that the golf course is paying $75,000 just for water. And I read the contract, it wasn't in there, so they added that on later on.
Oh.
It's in there.
The original contract you had with the new people. And so the land, we used to get 30,000, I think, for the land and 40 for the tertiary plant. We don't get nothing for the land then,
We get $1.
huh?
We get $1 for the lease.
$1.
For the lease.
So if we didn't pay taxes, I mean, the city give that away where he had to pay taxes on it, we get 12% of that, right?
Oh. So it wasn't that they don't pay, they pay $1 until they put a certain amount of capital into the property. There was a condition. They had to put in, I think, 850. Mr. Lee can probably correct me if I'm wrong. And so that's why they pay that dollar, so they would put it into the improvements of the land.
It is a limited term, though. The lease payments go up after 25 years, but the wastewater payment is still in there.
Okay, any more public comment? Okay, we'll go
Yes.
ahead and close public comment. From there, we will go to reports and communications from our city attorney.
Same as from public comment that we hope to have the e-bike ordinance from you soon, and we've done that for some other cities. So present that to you for your feedback.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Vrinsky. Mr. Lee, city manager reports or communications.
Just a couple of things, Mr. Mayor. I was made aware of some social media posts that the program that we were talking about with respect to Howard Park, obviously for the past many, many months, we've been talking about all the improvements going on at Howard Park and ways to monetize it. And the council did at some point recently approve the Weber Gio to come up with a design for phase 1 and phase 2 of the parking lot at Howard Park. But I was made aware that there's some scuttlebutt out there saying that we're going to be charging for parking. Well, as I've said many, many times very clearly, if there are any fees that is programs that come about, the Ione residents will pay nothing. Their parking will be free. Because as I've said over and over again, the Ione residents, they pay for the maintenance and upkeep of Howard Park.
Mr. Lee, can I ask you a question? I'd just like you to clarify a little bit more on that. The city of Ione, but we're also talking about the 95640 area, correct?
Again, that's to be determined.
Right,
But
that's
generally speaking, if you are a resident of Ione and there is a parking fee that is developed in the future that we're still working on, the Ione residents will not pay anything. Primarily, that has been our preference from the beginning, primarily because the residents of Ione, they pay for the repair and maintenance of Howard Park. Although it's considered a regional park, the Ione residents pay. So if there is some type of a monetary parking fee that's implemented in the future, the Ione residents will absolutely get it for free because, again, they should. They should because they pay for it. And there'll be some program to monetize it to outside residents. And then the only other thing is that there will be some significant announcements here very shortly.
Okay, thank you. Council committee comments, committee reports, future agenda items. Councilmember Atlan.
Yeah, I'd like to get something on a future agenda. Back in 2023, the city council was looking at giving the police chief a raise to $105,000. It got kicked down the road 3 months and disappeared. During about 2 months ago, Mr. Lee told us under the new negotiations with the chief of police that he actually gets paid $154,000 a year. And I can find no records of where the city approved that. So I'd like that looked at. Also, the step raises, I've been given information that step raises are not negotiable. They're not something you can just give someone. You either are here for the time and you get the step raise or you don't. You can't just say, well, I like you. Here's 3 extra step raises. That's part of it too. I'd also like a budget on what it's now going to cost for the police building to be made move-in ready, which is what we were told. And I'd also like a budget for animal control to bring that in-house and a budget for bringing dispatch in-house. And these don't need to happen anytime soon, but, you know, hopefully by the end of the year on those budgets. Yeah, we have a lot of things going on that, you know, we're spending money. I can't wait to see the expenses in the next meeting. We just got to make sure that we have it under control. I don't mind spending money if our revenues are coming in, but if we're spending money and nothing's coming in, then we need to start prioritizing what we are actually going to spend the money on. So those are, I've asked for this to be put on the budget, on the agenda before. I've been denied or turned down or whatever it is that you guys do. So I didn't want to say this in public, just so you know. I'd rather had it a little bit more discreet, but because I keep getting ignored, I have no choice but now to ask for it here in a public meeting. Thank you.
Councilman Mitchell?
Farmers Market Wednesday, 5 to 8. Come out, have a good time. I end up showing up very late usually, but it's very comfortable back there. It's actually, even with the heat, it's nice if you get down there late like I do. It's a fun time. Sunday car show. Ione Business Community Association's been working very hard on it. Saturday, excuse me. Did I say Sunday? Of course. Saturday, my apologies. Been working too long. Saturday, Ione Business Community Association, come down. It's going to be a great show. And I know there's a lot of work, and I would certainly like to thank all the folks of IBCA that have been working hard on that. George, I know you're working, I brought it up to you a number of times on what was formerly ARSA and what we were paying. I expect some things to be done. I don't think our taxpayers should be covering costs for sewage treatment of our neighbors. They can certainly step up and pay, and since Dan's here and is on that board, they certainly can pay. I'm not looking to make a profit, but they need to pay what we have to cover.
Vice Mayor Rhodes?
Sorry, Rosie already left, but I wanted to let her know that I did talk to a couple of those kids on their little racing bikes around town. And I asked them, I said, do you know how to ride a bike? And they're saying, what are you talking about? And I said, do you know what traffic laws are? Like, can you ride your bike in a crosswalk? And they said, yes. And I said, no, actually, you cannot ride a bike in a crosswalk. And I started asking them these questions, and these kids literally have no clue, like zero. They've never been taught anything. Back when I was in school, there was programs that taught kids, and the teacher would teach you, don't do this, don't do that. And I was wondering if maybe Chief Alfred or the police department can maybe do something as far as going to the school and discuss to the kids, like, do you understand what you guys are doing? I had a friend that had a daughter that literally blew a crosswalk, and she got hit by a car, and we had it on videotape, and that girl shouldn't have done it, and she didn't have a helmet on or anything. Anyhow, that was a big, these kids they don't have a clue what they're doing. And I told them, if they don't start behaving, we're going to come after them. And they said, okay, well, what do we do? And I literally had to sit there and tell them, there's a stop sign. And I told them the stop sign story. When I was 10 years old, Donnie Tillery, Eddie Reed, Preston Griffin, and me were coming down Preston Avenue. They all blew the stop sign. I did too. And a cop was sitting there, chased us, and I'm the only dummy that stopped. And I had to go to court. And that's the first time I met Don Howard. And he said, tell me the truth. Did you run the stop sign? I said, yes, but all my friends did. So he said, well, thank you for telling the truth and don't do it again. So.
If they all jump off the bridge.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mom's favorite comment.
So just so you know, we've actually done 3 presentations with the schools on bicycle safety and stuff. And we've been working with the county behavioral health or not behavioral health, but county health with it, because we've got a collaborative thing we've been doing countywide. So we've actually been in the schools.
At elementary or high school or both? Or?
No, both the elementary and the junior high here.
Oh,
and we've done 3 presentations so far, and we've got more in the plans.
Okay, maybe you can go to Argonaut. So I think these kids, I'm pretty sure were high school.
Not arguing there, but that's somebody else's jurisdiction. So
we've
been working with them on it. So,
or could Jackson do it? Maybe.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So. All right. Well, thank you for doing.
Sounds like a good job for Officer Washington. Got to give Lego a break. I have a couple comments I want to make. The car show obviously is there, but there's going to be cars also, and some. I'm sure some vendors at Preston that day also. So that's a great time to look at the castle and see some awesome cars. Logan Wilkerson, who we lost recently from brain cancer, His folks have started a thing called Logan's Little Library. And he was quite artistic young man, a very good artist. It's such into dinosaurs, just a very interesting child and very smart too. But what it is like similar like you do with books, but you go into, he was into dinosaurs, so you can go put something in and, he might get a dinosaur out and you put something in, you take something out. I do want to give some good news here. Also, AWA did stop the moratorium. We went to a station. I went to a meeting last week. Yes, I think it was Thursday, and they voted to stop the moratorium in Ione, which is very good news. And they are going to be working on this plant in the near future. And they also, for those that have been concerned about our reimbursement, that they voted to reimburse the balance of our funds to get us completely up to date on how much is owed. So we'll be free and clear from that. With, I might add, with the approval of the Department of Water Resources, and everything went through with flying colors. And they were quite pleased with how the city did this. So I give,
Which project was that, Mayor?
Excuse me?
Picnic Hill?
Picnic Hill, yeah, the grant for Picnic Hill. And I really give a lot of credit here to Mr. Lee because he came to me. I want to make this brief, but it's not going to be brief for a second. But he came to me one day when I was on the council for like 3 months. He says, I just was told that the water agency has $1 million grant out there, and he told me about this, and I'm like all enthusiastic with him, but deep in my soul, I was thinking, there's no chance, But he believed, and he got me to believe, and got a lot of other people to believe, and it happened. So, with that, we'll go ahead and ask for a reimbursement. I mean, an adjournment. Do we get a adjournment reimbursement?
I'll second.
All right, we have first and second, all in favor, say aye.
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 Reimbursement